Hey, this is Ty with Baseball Think Tank, and here we have Tim, high school sophomore, who is consistently stuck around 78 to 80. We'll watch the video through a couple times, full speed, and just watching it through full speed. I want you to watch for right about landing. I want you to notice the kind of the pause in the entire movement, which gives the impression, or what a lot of guys might call a max effort thrower. And this is kind of where that term comes from. If you notice that, right about foot landing, you see this kind of jerk through the entire body. One of the big problems with that is it's going to tend to lead to lack of command. So if I had to, just first glance look at Tim here, I would say one of his issues is command. And obviously as a high school sophomore throwing the ball 80 miles an hour, he's probably pretty successful. However, without continued development of command, it's a place he could get stuck. So we want to identify, what are the reasons that hitch or that delay is happening. Why is he a quote-unquote max effort thrower? And, what's going on. Typically when a guy gets stuck in that velocity range around 80 miles an hour, a lot of times it's simply the body is not moving down the slope of the mound. Somewhere we have a break in the kinetic chain that we're not mirroring the slope well enough. So if we break it down in slow motion, let's look and see what's happening. Okay, so we see at least a good load on leg kick, possibly too big of a load, and I'll explain that in just a second. As we see Tim mirroring the slope of the mound, he's doing a good job getting down the mound. We see good backside, right there. All of a sudden the hips come out of it. Okay, so what that tells us is the weight went to the ball of the foot on the back foot. So if we kind of look right here, we're going to see the weight move to the ball of the foot, which is going to put the emphasis on the quads here to push the body. Okay, and you see rotation already occurring. Let me clear all that off. Okay, so if you watch, just focus on the stripe of his pants right here, you'll see kind of this winding, twisting motion backwards, which is not necessarily bad, but then we see it begin to unwind at this point. So in reality, he is beginning the rotation phase at this point. Okay, what he's going to do is now shift the weight to the ball of his foot in the middle of the unwinding phase and then launch himself forward. So there's the break in the kinetic chain. So the hips actually are unwinding, they stop unwinding, there's a push forward, and then the hips never get completely open at landing. You see the direction the front foot's pointing, it's pointing in that direction rather than getting all the way open. And let's see, goodness gracious, his arm action, wow. So man, you've got some great pieces of the puzzle here, Tim. I guess to break it down, you're going to be hitting 90 before long. Okay, you got all the pieces there. Your issue is simply timing. How do I get the hips to continue to open? And if we watch landing and then into release, watch how see how the hips are finishing their rotation there. You're coming up on the ball of the foot here, which just tells you you're late getting the hips rotated through. Okay, so the quick fix is, let's go back to the beginning. Why are you late getting there in the first place? Okay, so let's look at this leg kick. Okay, So you're kind of twisting here, but you're really not going anywhere. Okay? If we just look at this line right here at the back hip, okay? We see a lot of movement, a high leg kick, but that back hip, it's turning, but it's not going anywhere. Okay, so all you're kind of doing is twisting and then untwisting. There it goes, untwisting. And then so from right here, honestly, this is where you're throwing the ball from. If you started right here, that's your throwing motion. I mean, your arm action is phenomenal. Honestly, it's like, that's crazy. I'll sign you today, wherever I happen to be when you're a senior. You can come pitch for me. What we need to do is focus on, let's get right here at the top of leg kick, okay? I want you to watch this motion with your back hip, okay, coming down out of leg kick. So from right there, that is what we want to feel. Okay, so I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button there. So rather than twisting the body so much here, let's think about what this motion, so we get the top of leg kick on the way down, okay? Notice how the back hip is actually now moving, okay? That's the motion we want to feel, or that's what we want to feel going into leg kick with the back hip. It may lower your leg kick a little bit. You may feel like you're rushing. You're going to feel out of sequence a little bit. But the correct timing, let me show you where we want the lower half, okay? So when your upper half is right there, I mean, that's great. Your arm action is great. But at this moment right here, ideally we want the lower half about right here, okay? So if our lower half is late getting where it needs to be, we need to start that earlier. So in essence, all you need to do is get your lower half rotated there while the upper half is right about there. And I think if you go back to your initial movement, okay, I think if we just start with this initial leg kick, if we can start on the way up, getting that move out of the lower half on the way up, let's get that hip going. You're going to feel like you're, way out here, which you will be. But combine that with the arm action and the upper body movement you have, you're going to clear the hips faster. You're going to create more rotational forces through the trunk. You're going to drastically increase the speed at which your arm is already moving. Tim, in all honesty, you could gain 5 miles an hour. You could be at 85 next week just by improving that timing. So I would start there. Start on your leg kick, and let's get the body, where it needs to be. You actually do a pretty good job of stabilizing, even though after your hips clear, you see you're not stable. So again, to me, it's all of the pieces are there. Okay, without doubt, all the pieces are there. It's a timing thing. Start the bottom of the back hip moving earlier, and I know Brian can help you with that, so let me know how that works, all right?